from Florida.
You are a Texas gentleman. Thank you. But then I repeat myself. Thank you. I caught my breath, so thank you so much. Well, as the hearing is entitled, as you know, there is a resurgence of al-Qaeda in Iraq, and that has not been the narrative from the administration. And in fact, we hear little about how the administration plans on fighting al-Qaeda in Iraq and throughout the region. Do you believe that the administration has underestimated the growth, the capacity, the reach of al-Qaeda and its affiliates? And why has it been reluctant, if you agree or not agree, to admit that the scope of the danger is far larger than we thought, and that we're facing an al-Qaeda that is stronger? On Syria, we know that the Syrian conflict has played a role in the increase of violence in Iraq, but it is clearly not the driving force behind the deterioration of the security situation in Iraq. However, with the Iraqi government's inability to secure the areas around the Syrian border and the instability in Syria seemingly unending, we may see al-Qaeda able to establish a safe haven across both countries. What steps should we take to combat the AQI threat to ensure that they don't establish safe haven in the Iraq-Syria border? And to what extent has Maliki's inability to govern in an inclusive way without catering to a sectarian agenda helped to create this environment in Iraq that has allowed al-Qaeda to make these gains? Now, we've got upcoming elections in Iraq next year, and many of us are concerned with that current instability, the distrust between the different political groups and religious groups. There's a lack of political will to overcome these differences, that these elections may bring Iraq to an all-out civil war. Are these elections going to be a calming influence, a bringing together, or is it going to be a problem? What can we do to support Iraq in this troublesome period? What measures can we take to help ensure that these elections will be free and fair and transparent and will result in a peaceful and constructive effort that can create an inclusive government, which is what we want, willing and capable of maintaining stability and the rule of law in Iraq? And we know that Iran's influence has grown with Maliki. We've done so much to try to make that divorce happen, but we haven't seen from the administration any tangible results. What leverage do we have left with Maliki when it comes to Iran? That's a whole lot of stuff.
Madam Chairwoman, I would like to tackle what I took away as 3 questions. The first, did we underestimate al-Qaeda in Iraq, al-Qaeda's resurgence? While we're talking about this topic, there is still a narrative that perhaps al-Qaeda has been defeated. And I think, for me, the principal question is, what is the relationship between al-Qaeda in Iraq and al-Qaeda core, and what does that tell us about what will happen to the broader al-Qaeda network if al-Qaeda in Iraq becomes stronger in Iraq as well as in Syria? And I think that over the course of this discussion, we've framed very well that one of the principal concerns that connects all these things is the draw of foreign fighters globally to the fight, which al-Qaeda in Iraq is leading in Syria as well as Iraq. So yes, I think that it does make the
And the foreign fighters has been, okay, so 1 minute. Have at it. Dr. Byman? Yeah.
I think the reasons why the administration has downplayed this, to me, are relatively clear. I would emphasize 2. One is the answers are very, very difficult in terms of actual solutions. U.S. influence is present but limited, and many of the things we may try may not work. But more important, I think there is very little domestic support for a strong re-engagement with Iraq, and the administration is sensitive, even though that's what's necessary if we're going to fix things. It requires taking action in Iraq, it requires taking action in Syria, and I think the administration is sensitive to the lack of American public support for that.
I'll tackle 2 points. Back in late 2010, early 2011, it was extremely difficult to get anyone to take the beginning of the resurgence of al-Qaeda in Iraq seriously. And that's the opportunity that we missed here with the administration. At that point, nobody wanted to accept that Iraq was not in a fit state to hand off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm out of time. I apologize. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Chair will yield 5 minutes to the